watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. In today's culture, that's labeled toxic masculinity. But Scripture reveals the truth. Strength rooted in love is biblical masculinity. Make your choice.
Welcome back to the Choice Podcast, Saturday morning, number 2 episode, Matty B. I was just looking in here. We're going to get into Psalms 133 here in a second. Just a quick verse. But Josh, here's a question I had when you just said that.
Send it.
Is a psalm, so the book is called Psalms with an S.
Mm-hmm. It's weird.
But is an individual one called a Psalms, or is it called a, like, prayers? Is it called a prayer or psalm?
I'm going to say it's psalm.
Just regular without an S?
Singular.
That's what we'll go with.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
But yeah.
If you know, let us know.
That's right.
But for now, we're going to own it and say it's Psalm 1 and Psalms 1 through 5.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so here we are. We are talking today. So we're going to read Psalm 133, the beginning, verse 1. Joshua pointed out to us. Behold, how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. And what are we talking about, Sir Joshua?
We're talking about the men's night of worship where we had men from our community here in Stafford, Virginia, Fredericksburg, Virginia, come together from different churches, all for the same purpose.
That's right. And so we thought it would be useful to do an episode on the men's night of worship, what it is, options that exist for men out there to participate in. Because I don't know, when was the first time you went to something like this, like a men's conference, night of worship, or anything like that?
Well, I think the first men's night of worship would have been here a few years ago. That was strictly a men's night of worship. I'd been to other conferences, but not men's conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So
would you say this is a new concept, or is it something we just haven't been a part of that's been happening for decades?
I think it's been around for a while.
Okay.
Maybe not decades, but maybe.
There's a big one at Liberty University that we generally go to every year. And when I say we, I mean men of this church. It's called Ignite.
Yeah.
And there's a book. He left one in here somewhere. Ignite Men's Conference. And I think that's more of like topics for the fellas. And with some, there's some worship music mixed in, but I think it's like breakout groups that you can choose like which ones you want to be a part of, those types of things. But what we did and what we have done for now, this was number 3 or 4. 3 for sure. 3 for sure.
Maybe 4, but 3 for sure.
And so is rather than like a whole long weekend thing, we did this year was a 4-hour event where it started at 5 with tailgating. The music,
and it doubled in numbers from last year.
Every year,
more than doubled.
Yeah, we had like 40 or 50 the first year. Last year, 75 or 80, and this year we had over 120 people. It was like 125, 130 if you count the band.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it's
on a
special.
Saturday night for that many guys to stop what they're doing and go invest in their relationship with the Lord. Pretty incredible.
Right, when they had a whole bunch of other things they could be doing on a Saturday night.
Good excuses not to go, and they put those aside.
Yeah, and so
we made this a priority.
Exactly right. And so what the thing
and we fed them.
Oh, was that's you want to talk about that first? Yeah. So we'll do that first. Let me just outline what we did.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So it was a 4-hour block of time. We had an hour tailgating. We had an hour on the back for tailgating. We had a 2-hour program.
We had some activities too for the men.
Yeah, we had bull riding. We had axe throwing.
I mean, it was a manly thing.
It was a dude thing.
We had a mechanical bull and axe throwing on site.
Yeah, we had a for the actual service, quote unquote, portion of it. It was a bunch of music. There was a men's panel we'll talk about, and then we had a guest speaker.
Yeah,
and actually that guest speaker is fantastic. We'll get into that in a little bit, but he's had his team, go to a men's night as their team building activity for every year that I've been a part of his program. I think that's pretty incredible. Ours was, he was doing it before we even had one. But is there some kind of like back it up? Let's start at the beginning, record scratch. Okay, good here. So we all know, Josh, that your most famous trait is your culture. Your South Louisiana Lafayette.
I got to sit up straight for this.
Is it French mostly?
Cajun?
Cajun. I'm sorry, I offended you.
Yeah. We're good now.
We washed our mouths out. So
Yes.
your Cajun culture. We have great words that come out of you.
And-
we have great stories and great food.
And last year, it got really exposed to the Men's Night of Worship because I made the largest chicken and sausage jambalaya I'd ever made for 70 people.
At that point.
At that point, I have made larger since.
Well, let's talk about it. So how did it go last year?
It was phenomenal. Guys were raving about it.
They really were. It was
And
exceptionally good.
I'll give credit to my brother-in-law, Chris. He walked me through it, and there's some non-conventional methods. You know, like when you cook rice, you never uncover it. He was like, bro, you got to keep stirring when you're cooking that big.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to keep stirring. It'll burn to the bottom. Keep stirring. Keep stirring. Every few minutes be stirring. And I did, and it came out wonderful.
What goes into a jambalaya for those who don't know?
So the way we do it, and it depends. If you're in New Orleans or you're in Cajun country in Lafayette, where I'm at, a New Orleans jambalaya is floating in a tomato gravy, which is disgusting.
Noted.
Our jambalaya is more dry. We don't float it in a tomato gravy because that's heresy. So there's pork, there's chicken, and there's andouille sausage, so a spicy sausage. So this year, I took advice from the men last year. They said it wasn't spicy enough. So I turned the heat up a little bit. It was spicy.
Is that a pun, or was that just a subconscious?
It could be a little of both.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't intentional.
You'll find out why in a second.
It wasn't intentional.
So turn the spice up a little.
I did.
And so we were excited because here's the thing. Last year was 70 people, which was a large undertaking. Would you agree?
That was a huge undertaking.
I remember from last year that Josh and Holly were in there that either the night before or the morning of.
Morning of, yeah.
Like cutting up all the stuff
Yep, all
in the kitchen.
vegetables.
Yeah, it didn't just like, it's not like a start now and go through. Like you have to prep hours.
Yeah, well, you have to add the Trinity, which is what we call it in Cajun country, which is bell pepper, onion, and celery.
Yeah.
And the Trinity plus the Pope is garlic.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cutting, and then you've got to cut all that sausage.
Oh, it's so much.
But this year, the numbers were increased, almost doubled. So I'm making for 120 plus. So we're talking 10 pounds of pork. It was 25 pounds of andouille sausage and 45 pounds of chicken, 50 pounds of rice, an unbelievable amount of chicken stock. I needed more than I thought for reasons you're about to find out. And then all the vegetables, which is an insane amount. Like,
it's insane. Yeah.
it's like 18 pounds of yellow onions chopped.
You had to do all that.
We did all of it.
Man.
My whole family was involved.
Yes, it was a big undertaking. And just to again reiterate, last year was fantastic, and we were all excited about it.
But it was different this year.
So what changed?
Well, we had to get a giant pot. So a day or two before, Holly and I went out and bought a 20-gallon crawfish boiling pot.
It was big.
That was going to be...
Was it made of aluminum?
It was aluminum against our better judgment because when you're boiling that much over propane, you really want cast iron. But we went with aluminum. If you go with aluminum, you can do a pot like a Magnolite as a brand. It's a really heavy-duty aluminum. But yeah, so it was 80 quarts, 20 gallons.
That's
huge pot.
Huge pot.
Yeah.
And it was on a propane, basically a cooker deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Propane flame.
Well, it was sometime around, I don't know. How long do we cook for these things? 4 hours maybe?
Yeah. So first step, I threw all of the pork in, cooked that 10 pounds down.
Actually, you cooked the bacon first.
Yeah. Pork,
I
bacon.
can smell
But
it,
cook the bacon. I used bacon when I cook for that large for pork. So I did that, pulled the bacon out, threw in the andouille sausage. All you're doing is browning it. You're not really cooking it. It's already cooked. Pulled that out, threw in the vegetables to saute them a little bit until the onions turned translucent. And then you throw all the meat with the chicken in there, and then you start adding the chicken stock, and you bring it to a boil.
Chicken
before-
stock's basically liquid.
Yeah, you
chicken
can
stuff.
buy it in 1 gallon
You had a
containers,
bunch.
or you can boil the chicken yourself, which we also did, and that makes real chicken stock.
Okay.
So everything was going really fine. It was cooking a little slow, but going fine. It didn't seem like the heat was transferring right in the pot. The bacon took longer than we thought, but so be it. The sausage or andouille, we got that browned pretty quick. By then the pot was pretty hot, and there's some bacon grease it's sitting in. Then we did the vegetables, and that was longer than expected, but okay. But then we threw in the chicken and the chicken stock. And next goal is bring it to a boil. We never got it to a boil.
It was on a propane cooker
Yeah.
underneath, like sitting on an open flame type
Yeah.
of thing.
You know why it never got to a boil?
Tell us why.
Because we blew a hole in the bottom of that pot. You know what's really difficult?
All right, this is
If
the
you're
whole point here.
cooking rice, you generally cook 2 to 1. 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. They tell you don't take the lid off because you could mess up your cook time and the way the rice tastes. Imagine if you're trying to boil chicken stock with rice and you're losing chicken stock out of the bottom of the stupid pot. Now I'm looking at it saying, I lost about a quart, add a quart. You can't get it to a boil like that.
Nope.
You're adding cold chicken stock. So now I'm boiling chicken stock in the kitchen so it's hot and adding boiled chicken stock it was a mess.
Yeah, so that's the part where I was playing in the band that night. So
Well, I came and got you, didn't I?
You sure did when we were done, and he's like, we got a problem. I'm like, huh. Well, before that, on a quick break, went outside. He's like, well, it's not really boiling. What would you do, Matthew B., if you have an open flame, a pot, and it's not boiling? What would you naturally do?
Turn it up.
Turn it up. And what did we naturally do, Josh?
Turn it up.
Turned it up. Nowhere in my personal calculations of life have I ever thought if you turn up the heat on a pot, you actually can burn through.
It won't become a pot.
How does
no
that
more.
happen?
Well, I think
It burnt a hole. We can put it in the show notes. It burnt a hole in the pot.
I think
How does this happen?
and so it was like a hairline fracture.
Ooh.
And I think really we had 2 failures. The first one was I went to go get a 20-gallon pot. I found it at an untrustworthy store, which will remain unnamed, to protect the guilty. But that store sold a whole crawfish boiling rig. So that's burner and pot. Failure 1, wrong store. Failure 2, never cooked on that pot or that rig before.
And then just do it for 100 people.
Bad idea.
Bad move.
So the crawfish boilers I would have used before were a big ring with about 20 or 30 nipples around it that had a bunch of flames coming up.
Oh, yeah, good
This
point.
one had two
Yeah.
circular, tubular looking things, and I had 2 flame sources heating up one spot. So that's another failure.
I think that's
And the pot itself, there's no way in human history that brand pot ever boiled water, crawfish, boiled rice, anything. So shame be upon them.
Well, here's the thing. I think that's the culprit is the burner was maybe 4 inches in diameter on that. I mean, how was 24-inch pot?
Mm-hmm.
So how long? About.
I would say. Yeah.
And it was all the heat was concentrated in one circular spot at the bottom of that thing.
We can pinpoint exactly the spot now
because there's a picture.
because there's a hole in it.
Big
Don't
black.
forget the guadu.
Gradu.
Yeah. It's so I come out there and he's like, we got a major problem. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we burn a hole in the pot. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it's leaking out the bottom. And
Yeah.
it was. And so we ended up
It was stressful.
I couldn't believe that. I've never
And
seen
we had
anything like that.
125 hungry guys and,
Yeah.
and uncooked jambalaya.
So we turned it down, and then it didn't boil. And then what happened? This was the end result.
And then it ended up cooking, but it cooked so slow, and the rice really never got properly cooked. It was crunchy at its best moment.
Yeah, crunchy rice.
And the guys were kind.
They were super
They were
kind.
like, no, it's good, it's good.
I mean, I'd eat more of it.
I know. So immediately, I began hearing every old Cajun man. There's a saying for this. When someone puts tomatoes in their jambalaya, which is a sin, and God hates that. And or it's just awful, whatever it is. You put tomatoes in your gumbo, it's awful. The old Cajun men would be like, man, what'd you do? Go throw that in the long grass. Well, I brought the rest of that jambalaya home, and it looked good when I got home. So I grabbed a little bowl, threw a spoonful in there, and grabbed a fork, tasted it. Throw that in the long grass. And that's exactly what happened to
It
me.
all went to the long grass.
Not exactly the long grass, but it essentially the modern day version
gone.
of the long grass.
Yeah.
She gone.
Yeah,
Gone.
what you gave me, I took a couple for lunch, and I was like, I'm sick of jambalaya right now. So I still have like 5-6 more containers in my.
Throw that in the long grass.
Oh, it's
Matty.
going in the long grass.
I mean, it should still be fine. However, it was never cooked properly. Throw it
Yeah.
in the long grass.
Well, no. So when I heated it up, it cooked the rice a little bit more. But yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
it was a fail.
It wasn't a
It was a miss.
miss, not a fail.
We'll call it a miss.
We ate it.
We
ate it. It was just a little bit.
You've
not
eaten
finished.
a dog bone,
You want another
Eric.
one?
The
They're sitting
bar
right
is
there.
low. The bar is low.
He's also eating dirt, so it's lower
If
than
it
that.
helps,
It was
I
not.
have.
It was.
He really likes that story. It's
I
an
do.
obscure story.
It
but
was not a good
if you know, you
representation
know.
of Cajun food.
Well, here's the thing. If it makes you feel any better, if I had to choose, I would eat your jambalaya from Saturday before
Over
the dog
dirt?
bone
Oh,
again.
absolutely.
I'd eat your cooking over dirt.
So
I will pick out the meat and just leave the rice.
There you go.
that's what I did. It was good. So like it's just because the rice was a little crunchy. I ate the rice too. I was like, well, I'll pick around a little bit. It's no big deal. I'll still eat it. Give me some more.
We can stop talking about this now.
I'm sorry, Josh.
Now I'm
He's
getting
upset.
sensitive.
Sensitive.
So
And,
now let's get to the main event.
Well, hold on. Yeah, but that pushed everything to the right by 15 minutes because we
At
were
le-
trying
at
to get it
least.
cooked. It was just not happening. So we got started. We started with the national anthem on the
Sure
electric guitar, which I thought was a fantastic
Wonderful. It
ad
was
by
killer.
Devoted Dave. It was his
Absolutely.
idea. Great ad. And so we did that, shredded it. Tedder the Shredder, he's our guitarist.
And if you've ever heard Jeff Beck's version of it, it was better than that.
Really? I don't know his
Check
version.
out Jeff Beck's version of
He
National
does it
Anthem.
on July 4th, and he did it for Men's Night every time at the church. I think it's legit.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And then we got into it, man. And there was 125 fellas there, kind of just
From different churches. I think there
That's
was
another
7 churches represented
Was
there.
that how
7?
many? 7. I know we had 3 that were the
Yeah.
core planning churches, which
Yeah.
were us here at Choice, Freedom, and Stafford Crossing, and there were men from each of them, pastors from the first 2.
Yeah, but there were
for
other
sure.
representatives from
Right,
other
and
churches.
other churches that came,
Not in big number, but there were others.
which is
represented.
great. Isn't that cool?
That's super cool, man.
And they were all just kind of letting it rip, tater chip. Music was loud. The set list was, in terms of the songs we chose, were to blow it off the roof type of songs for the fellas. See, our fantastic worship leader, who you've heard on here before, who did our intro,
Yeah.
he actually, well, I don't know if you guys realize this, he brought the key down a couple steps.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
that men could sing it.
Exactly right. And so he said, if you're going to do a men's night of worship, you got to bring it in a key that they can sing. And so we didn't sing it at most of them in the original keys. We brought them down, which then it worked beautifully because then invites the men to kind of get involved and not just sit back and listen, which
Yeah.
was cool. And they were. And I'll
Yeah,
tell you,
it
those
was.
Freedom men, man,
Mm-hmm.
those boys,
Those
they
guys
like
are
to
plugged
worship.
in, man.
Yeah.
They're plugged in.
And so, and we did that. And then the first thing right after that was we did have a panel with Dan, Christian, and Tony.
Christian. Yep.
And how did that go, John? You hosted that. And how'd that go?
It was really cool. They're because I know those guys pretty well, all 3 of them. I thought I knew what the answers were going to be. When as I was asking the questions, if I'm asking Tony a question, I'm thinking, I probably know where he's going with this. Or asking Dan or Christian. but I was really blown away with their answers. They were heartfelt, sincere, honest answers.
Yeah, it was quality.
And they didn't care who was listening. They weren't hiding from the truth.
I agree.
They were just speaking what was on their heart, how they felt, and kept it in line with God's word. And it was powerful.
Yeah, do we have any other questions? Probably do if we wanted to look them up on the email, right? He sent us the questions. But yeah, and so what was your, Matty B, what was your takeaway from that particular portion? Because you were kind of like not necessarily a planner. You were just a participator for most part. You had a behind the scenes stuff you helped us with lyrics and lights and things. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, no, one thing I did is where it was like, what's one thing is just how men lack confidence. And there's a fine line of being overconfident and being a jerk.
Interesting.
And so I think men err on the side of, well, I'll just be who I am, and whether that's quiet or anything like that, it's just, well, because it is that fine line to walk of being overconfident or being a jerk. And it's just because the idea of men are ones who suck up their feelings, put on a brave face, and never talk about their emotions. And that's because it's just how the world is. But that's the one thing. And one of the verses that stuck out to me, I think Dan said this one, was 1 Peter 5:9. Resist him steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same sufferings are experienced by your brotherhood in this world.
That's pretty good.
So I think some men try to isolate their problems and think, oh, this is a me-specific problem.
That's exactly right.
But it's not. And I think it has having that, being humble enough to like, yeah, I'm going through this problem, but so are Eric and Josh, so are Dan and Christian, so is Tony. So
you're not alone in it.
Yeah, exactly. I think once men start realizing that they're not alone, because there are people going through divorce right now and going through a rough patch in their marriage.
Right.
If you can reach a point in your life where you haven't had a rough patch in your marriage, praise God for that.
but get ready, it's coming.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what they call that? The point in which you haven't reached yet a rough patch in your marriage?
Honeymoon. You're still in the honeymoon.
I would say day one.
But as soon as you get home,
it's coming.
I do have the questions right here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And
I think that's a solid takeaway, Matty B. That's really good, man. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
So we had
more
3
to
guys on the panel, and I asked them each 2 questions. So I'll just read 3 or 4 of them. One of the questions, I asked this one to Dan. When you look at the current state of men in our culture, even inside the church, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing men right now? One that I asked Tony, many men want to lead their families well, but they feel like they're trying to figure it out on their own. Why do you think many men feel unprepared for the responsibility of biblical manhood and biblical leadership? These were solid answers.
Really,
these guys
really
gave
good
too.
answers.
Let me just pick another randomly. Why is the relationship between a father and his sons so critical in shaping the next generation of men? And man, these guys, knowing that I thought I knew how they felt about these topics, I was really impressed with the way they answered them. Should have been there.
Well, that's why we're trying to bring this to them so they get a little taste of that. But I would say the one thing that stuck out to me was the thing that they did at the very end when he made a good point. Christian kind of said this. He said, we're here tonight, and a lot of times as, servant leaders, we really focus on the other people, which is a good thing most of the time, right? But to be able to focus on other people, over time, you're pouring, it's like a bucket full of water, right? I've said this on here before, I think. But like, you got a bucket full of water, and if you keep pouring out into other people, and over
Eventually
time, you run out of water. So his point was, I'm here tonight for me, for him, right? And he's like, Josh, who are you here for tonight? And the answer was you. And Matty B's here for Matty B. And to your earlier point, not because this is selfish, but because we forget, I think, as fellas, we get really focused on the world around us, whether it's our job, our family. None of these are bad things. They're just part of how part of the math equation. You're focused on your family, your job, even if it's your church, right? Or call it whatever you're involved with. yard work, nonprofit, whatever the thing is, youth sports, we really forget that if we don't take deliberate time and are intentional about filling our own bucket up or water bucket back up personally, then we're going to run out of water eventually.
Well, there were some guys that answered in that way. See, he posed that question when I asked him. He turned it right back around before he answered and said, what are you here for? And pointed out to some guys in the crowd, myself included. But somebody in the crowd said they're here because their wife needs them to be here.
Ooh, I don't remember that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I mean, you can unpack that. It's not that his wife needed to get him out of the house for the night, but without him coming and getting plugged in like this, she's stuck with a lesser version of him.
That's pretty good. That's pretty heavy.
It's the truth, though.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. And the question for the fellas listening here is like, what are you doing to fill that bucket back up? Right. Because I'll bet you if you asked your wife, if you're married, or your family, I'll bet you if you ask them, be like, hey, I'm not going to spend this 60 minutes with you now because I'm trying to get myself right. Call it intentional study. Call it, maybe it's going for a run and clearing your head, or whatever the thing is that gets you back in the right mind space to kind of reset. They'd be like, absolutely, go do the thing. Because you said it. You're a better version of yourself when you take that intentional knee or that intentional reset. And it comes back to the things we've talked about on this podcast many times before, habits and discipline, Josh.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And sometimes filling your bucket up is because you're spending time with guys like you two, right? And in a study or something. So that's personal gain as well. It's just a different version of that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's different ways to do it. So it doesn't mean like grab your Bible and read at 5:30 in the morning and you need to stop at 5:45 and here's what you need. It doesn't always mean that.
No.
It could be simply going on the golf course with a buddy and just talking about something that's on your mind or your heart or whatever, right? Getting that off your chest. Because then you go back, kind of refresh, and you set it out. Set the thing out loud, and you can kind of chop that stress up into small bits and start to tackle it, or that problem.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah,
I think it goes back to just being available. For being able to be available for God, for your buddy when he needs it. I think that's a big, because sometimes we're caught up in what we're doing, and it's just like, oh well, I can't do this because I'm doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
You could push that to the side.
Yeah, it's a good point. And so I actually, this is a different answer than I think I was going to originally go to with this, but I don't think it's exclusively getting in Scripture. That's a big part of filling your bucket up, right? Because you have to be grounded in something.
In God's Word.
In your faith and in God's Word, right? But we're creatures created from the beginning for relationship. And so us, hey, spending time with other fellas, doing whatever it is. Maybe you're chopping wood, maybe you're mowing grass, maybe you're doing whatever.
And it's biblical. So this is where you plug in Psalms 133.
Grilling a steak.
Grilling a steak? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Psalms 133:1 says, behold how good and pleasant it is.
That's right.
When brothers dwell in unity. And that's what you're talking about. And so we were able to go out there. We had a tailgating time where we had some activities. There were some cornhole games going on, some bull riding, some axe throwing. But more importantly, there was just conversations and dudes spending time with dudes, all like-minded guys who were seeking the Lord, talking about life and building relationships with other godly men. And then they walked inside. And if you haven't heard the sound of 125 men worshiping together, man, it's intense, powerful.
Buddy, I was up on the stage, like I said, in the band for this particular event, and there was more times than we had planned, which were none, but we planned not, we don't ever plan this out, but we just stopped singing.
Yeah.
And so why are we singing? You all were singing. We'll play, you sing. We'll take the mic down, and we'll sing together, right? Rather than was Scott singing to them or Eric leading a song or Ben leading a song. We're all leading the song, And I mean, dozens of times where we just to put the mics down and just sang as one group of fellas with the band going, and it was awesome. Mm-hmm. I thought,
yeah,
it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, it was.
It was edifying for sure.
was
And
great.
so Dan and Christian and Tony, thank you guys for
Yeah,
coming on.
absolutely.
What good partners in this thing we
Man,
call
it's
life they are with
fun
us.
to
huh?
walk with them in this.
I can't wait to see where we're gonna keep going with this thing over the next couple of years. And their 11th Hour Alliance, there's the plug. They talked a little bit about their organization.
Well, that's what's cool is because
Voyage Rights, Father, Son.
the whole Psalm
Look it
133:1 is the heartbeat of 11th Hour Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get men in a brotherhood at local churches in their own. They're not pulling from churches. They're not subtracting or taking
point.
away. They're trying to edify that men's group
Supplement.
and then move on, and they'll stay plugged in with them, and go to the next one and lift them up and build up these churches and these men's groups. And 11th Hour Alliance is really cool. It took me 9 months to figure out what it was, but it's really cool.
And, and it's going to continue to slowly grow over time. And we just had this week, and we won't say the names yet till we get this thing sorted out, but another church that said we're interested in men's mentorship and the Forge type, we'll say, program.
It happened this week. Yeah,
and so
shortly after
that could be church number, whatever we're up to, 5 or 6 now.
Yeah.
How cool is that, Josh?
And it's not our thing. It's not like we're
course it
making
isn't.
money off this thing and selling something.
No.
Nothing like that at all. But it is about brothers dwelling in unity.
That's right.
And
And exactly
good
right.
that
And
is.
it's a proof that there's a need for it. And so if you're
Absolutely.
faithful to the word and you just continue to walk out the Matthew 28, go forth, make disciples, you make yourself available for the Lord to use you, he will, and he is, and he's using those fellas, and he's using Stafford Crossing, and he's using the church, our friends in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he had our friends in Pennsylvania. We haven't talked to KOCOG in a while. I texted him this morning. He said, "Look," I said, "recording this morning again if you're around," and he said, "Haha, okay. I will probably be around. If I don't answer, it's because I'm running. And yes, you can mock me for running." That said. You've heard me say this before, and I stole this from Cy Robertson. But look, I'm retired from the military now, Matty B. And so if you see me running, I'm going to ask kindly that you shoot whatever's chasing me, okay? Because there's no other reason I should be out running.
I'm with you on that.
Although we have a couple guys who run on the treadmill and listen to this up in Pennsylvania. The cat's a treadmill and watch on the treadmill and watch YouTube now, guy. Cat, shout out for you. Up in Pittsburgh. But anyway, so then we went back into worship for a little bit, Josh. By worship, I mean playing, we had some music going. And then, my good friend, we introduced the new men's leaders, which was fantastic. We're excited to have them on board. Matt, Jeremy, and Johnny G, which we had Johnny G on here before. And then we had our guest speaker.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start with that? Because it was off the chain.
Well, I don't know where to start with that. For one, it wasn't his first time at a men's night of worship with us,
Heck no.
but he came
Second time with us.
Yeah, he came as the guest speaker that night, and man, he brought a message men need to hear.
Yep.
And his message is right in line with everything we've been saying.
Well, can I set him up real quick?
Yeah, do it.
And so he was here last year just as he just wanted to come because that's his thing, right?
Yeah.
Coach Craig Lopez, he's a teacher and the baseball coach for over 30 years.
A local legend around here.
Yep, at Mountain View High School.
You know what's crazy? How many men were there that were former ball players
Great point.
under his leadership?
Yep. Knew him personally.
There were guys that are like, that's coach. He was my coach 10 years ago.
And he wasn't the same guy then.
Wow.
Because that was part of his message.
Yeah.
It was his moment in 2016 or 17, maybe it was 18, in the mid to late teens, where he had a moment, which we can get into a little bit of it, but we won't tell you his whole story. But essentially, so he's the same guy. He's a coach, man. In a world that lives in...
You can tell he's a coach, too.
Oh, he's awesome.
He talks like a coach. You could tell he's
Came
there
in-
to fire up a team.
Yeah, he's in his gym shorts and T-shirt, ready to go. I love it. He asked earlier in the week, he's like, hey, my wife thinks I should go and wear something nice. You okay with shorts and a T-shirt? I'm like, if you don't, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah,
you
go
know,
in your typical uniform.
Yeah, why would you not? But he's in a secular world. He's a coach where he swims. In a politically correct world, he does what's right, and he does the right thing. And so, for example, I was explaining this that night too, and I was introducing him. My son played for him, and I think the world of this guy. I watched generally his character and what he does and how he develops those young boys. Because in youth sports, Matty B, a lot of times coaches, they lose sight of the fact that you're not just coaching. In fact, your more important task here is to raise young men. That's it. And so we forget that because you get myopically focused on the sport itself and winning. That's a part of it, and that's a big thing. But you're raising, and you're such an impact on these young men that you cannot lose sight of that. And so
I'm so glad you brought that up, but I'm so glad you didn't blow past the other thing without giving it credit, because there's one thing I can't stand is a coach that says, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. Shut up.
yeah, winning matters.
Then why do we keep score?
yeah. That's right.
It is 100% about winning.
Yeah.
Now, it's also about how you play the game. And if, unfortunately, you do lose, you should lose because the other team was better, they bested you, and you tried your hardest, and you should lose graciously like a young man would. But you're out there to win the game.
Yeah, and if they run on you, you run on them back. And if they got a problem, you meet them at the pitcher's mound.
You're doggone right.
As the third base coach.
Yeah, it's right. You call out the parents in the stand if you need to.
And so, yeah, and he's the type. So before every single game that I watched him play, over 4 years with my son, they would take a knee. The whole team would take a knee every single time. And he was all about it. And he wasn't, the school wouldn't want him to be part of that, so they did it on their own. But he set I would say, the conditions for that to happen, which was fantastic. And, an optional event every spring for them is going to a men's night of worship as their team building activity. Usually it's at Life Point Church. This year it was here. And so Coach he invited his team, and I don't know how many showed up, 12, 13, 14, 15?
I was going to say 15.
And I was up there at one point, and I've been to every single one for the last 5 years. This was the 5th. And I've never seen the boys react the way those boys did on that night.
Yeah,
they're
cool.
usually standing there and Life Point's got 1,000 men, and it's kind of, you're just standing there like kind of, is that a little awkward? There's a lot of guys, it's whatever. But that night, in that moment, they were in the front row, number one.
Yeah, they were.
Number two, I looked down at one moment, second set of songs, and they were linked arms and just kind of singing the song, how they would do together, like back and forth, left and right. It was awesome, and I couldn't help but stop. In the middle of the song, I was taking a video for the coach and their parents.
Yeah,
for them. It was unbelievable,
cool.
man.
I saw you doing that.
And so the players responded. He brought with them, and former players were there, and he brought just such a great message. And I'm gonna ask you guys as well, and really you, what did you all think? What was his message about, and what can we share from that with the fellas who are listening today?
Matt, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, first of all, just how to take a compliment, because that's something that I sometimes struggle with.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like, "Oh, hey, this looks great." I'm just like, "Okay, it could be better," but it's just
usually you answer with humility, right?
Yeah.
In an awkward attempt to answer with humility.
Yeah. But he just accepted and received. That's
what he said. Use that.
He
was told after his he had a significant life-changing event personally. And I won't get into his story. He would tell you. He was really vulnerable, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, he's very exposed.
We'll just say we're close to the most significant and tragic circumstances one could have done to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, through some coaching or other men's groups, he was told, you don't take a compliment well. And his answer was
accepted and received.
Yeah, he's like, look, just accept it, man, and receive the compliment. And so if somebody says something nice to you, you don't have to be weird about it. Just accepted and received and move on. And I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Yeah. His other point was, you're all going to have these things, these challenges, these hurdles, these road bumps, whatever they are, roadblocks in some cases, and you need a brotherhood around you.
Mm.
And other guys are going. We might look put together on Sunday morning, but we got junk happening.
Always,
everybody's got something happening, and nobody's immune to it. it's going on in my life and your life and your life. And we might be able, like I said, turn it on when we pull in the church parking lot, but maybe we were yelling and screaming the whole way to church, at the kids. Then you get there and you try to look like the Brady Bunch while you're there.
Do your best.
And then as soon as you leave, like back to it, whatever it is, whatever your thing is. So yeah, great message.
And then you said, go ahead, Matty B. There's more to it.
Another thing, it was going back to what you were saying, hiding in plain sight. That's something that he was saying. So we try to put our problems off to the side to perceive like we have everything put together. And so, but we're just hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we just like...
Because he said before his incident, he was a Christian. He went to church, but he was hiding in plain sight.
The other thing he said was...
his problems, his struggles.
That it just echoed in my head a few times. It was, be intentional with the relationships God put around you. Because they're going through it too. You never know. You never know. That guy and his family are going to church every day and they look good and they got it together. You have no idea the battles he's fighting. Be intentional with the men around you. Be involved in their lives and be there when they need you to be there.
I think we say this theme like routinely on this podcast, but it's just, that's what we're here to remind folks, because you and I need the reminder.
Which guy? I had to text our group with Tony, Christian, and Dan.
Yeah.
And I said, hey guys, check out Psalms 133:1. It's the heartbeat of VHA. And they're just firing back, dude, let's go.
These guys are great.
They're all fired up already.
And I think the other thing you said, Matthew B., was that every day is a blessing.
Yes.
Did you say that? What would you mean by that?
Well, it's just like we don't know what... We have to live in the present. We can't think about tomorrow's problems because tomorrow will bring its own problems. So just every day you wake up, smile.
Yeah, that's right. He did say that.
Because you can continue to be the guy God has called you to be, and every day your feet hits the ground. It's go time.
There you go.
And he said, I wake up and smile at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did. He said, I look
bizarre.
myself in the mirror and I smile at myself.
What's he talking about? I thought that was funny.
I can tell you right now, I don't look at myself in the mirror.
No. I will tell you this, though. The other day, I looked at myself in the mirror post-shower, and I called, and so I'm bearded now. And so I told, I look like a polar bear who had run into some high-tension power lines. And so I'm trying to get this beard thing figured out. And I walk, I got a shower, and it's like, boom! And so I did what any self-respecting man would do. I called somebody else with a beard, okay? And not you, Josh. Maybe I should have, but you don't look like a product guy. I called the most bougie bearded man I know.
You called Will.
That's exactly who I called. And you know what he didn't do? Answer. And so I said, Will, later when he did answer the phone or called me back, I said, Will, look here. I said, this was the most important phone call I've ever placed to you, and you didn't answer it. Before you can be a 3 a.m. friend, you need to be a 6:45 a.m. friend. And I couldn't figure out, because here's the thing about it, and we're going to wind the show down, but I was given beard product box for Christmas, and this was 3 months ago, I guess now. In this box that I finally opened up, when like I said, looked like a polar bear who would run into high-tension power lines. If you didn't know this, if you end up growing a beard out, you current military folks, you got to maintain that thing, because it'll just poof, like porcupine, stick straight out looking thing. Anyhow, they're in this box, and Josh, help me understand. Riddle me this, Batman. There's a conditioner, there's a shampoo, there's some other goofy liquid thing, and then there's like a balm, like in a can, twist the top. Like it's like a paste.
Here's the thing.
I didn't know what to do.
Every man has to walk down this journey his own walk. Because for years, now I've worn a beard for probably about 10 years now.
Is that what you call it? Wearing a beard?
Yeah. You wear a beard.
Interesting.
I've worn a beard for almost 10 years now, and I never used products.
Products.
Whatever I washed my hair with, whatever shampoo, that's what my face got.
That's exactly right.
And that's how I did it. However, about 3 years ago,
Oh, you pivoted.
I'd shaved for some reason, which was dumb, I'm sure. And as it was growing out, it was so itchy, but not like at a certain length. It was relatively long, but the beard hair draws moisture away from your face. So I didn't know what was going on. And then I went to a barber I trust, and they said, you should use, and there's all different kinds of these things. And I don't think any of it matters. He's like, you should use beard butter. And I'm like, what?
Beard butter.
Well, I got this beard butter that's scented with,
Oh, good gracious.
it's bourbon and temple smoke. It's the most manly beard butter.
Temple smoke? What does smoking a temple smell like?
I don't know, but
Incense?
Yeah, I guess.
It would, you know what it smelled like in Jesus' time? Lamb chop.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you this. When you put it on, you immediately start hearing George Strait in the background. Instantly. You can smell leather.
Your phone starts talking to you about square body Chevys.
Yeah. And old dogs and dirt roads and stuff. That's what you hear. It comes on in your head. It's manly stuff. I used it for like 2 months, and I haven't used it since.
Oh, okay.
So whatever. Beard balm, beard butter, beard moisturizer, comb, whatever. I comb my beard with the same hairbrush I use to brush my stupid hair that's not growing as well as it used to. I don't do anything with it. Because here's the number one reason. Because I don't have to look at it, and I don't care.
I just don't care.
I don't care. But one more thing to kind of wrap up this recap of the Men's Night of Worship. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on the record, and now it's memorialized in perpetuity since it's been on the podcast.
Perpetuity. 5.
It's not bad.
Ding.
For an early morning, it's not bad.
Real good. Yeah, it's what time? 8. Man, we've been going for.
I am going to alleviate the men's leadership.
Another big word, but go ahead.
The men's leadership here at Choice of the pain of trying to figure out how to not ask me to botch the next cookout for the men's night and tell them I don't want to do it again. Because listen, if it stays at the 50 or the 100% growth rate and it gets to 250 next year, or if it stays the same at 125, I don't want to cook for that many. I don't. And I don't want to buy a cast iron pot that's 20 gallons.
Yep.
Because that burner won't even handle it anyway.
Yep.
So we can figure out something else. I'm done.
I'm done. And you heard it there first.
Throw
Josh
that in the
has
long
thrown
grass.
in the towel.
Throw
In the
that
long grass.
Put it in the
I
long
was
grass.
actually, and then we'll finish up here. I was actually like surprised, yes, that you're like, I'll cook for that many. I was expecting you to say that's just more than I can handle. And we'd have figured something else out. We'd have had like a potluck or something. Guys bring something or whatever. But you said that you were going to do it. I'm like, that's ambitious.
I'll tell you this. I'm saying that now I'm feeling guilty because I called my boy Gary out in Kuwait the next day. And Gary's a Cajun man, and he's cooked for a lot.
6'6", the name's the Squatch.
That dude can cook.
Okay.
I told him what happened. I'm like, bro, I don't ever want to cook again for that many. And he was like, brother, we've all had that moment. Get back on that horse. Cook again. I'm like,
We'll see.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll see. We should give you more help next time. And we'll start a little sooner. Because it wouldn't hurt nothing if we'd have boiled it starting at noon.
It could have been ready an hour in advance and it wouldn't have hurt anything.
Yeah. We should. There you go. Build yourself.
But I also had a child with a violin recital at noon that day.
Yeah,
That
you got a
kinda
lot
threw
going on,
things
buddy.
off.
Yep. But she probably did fantastic.
She did.
She's a rock star. Catherine's the best.
Yeah, she's.
Can I say I want to shout out your wife for helping because like you're like your Levi, your son,
Yep.
Yes.
even your daughter,
Yeah.
your wife, all a huge help.
Yeah, they really were. In fact,
I just didn't want to make sure that was
that's a good point
on the
man.
record that
They do. You're right. Good for bringing that up, man.
yeah.
They do deserve some credit because she
Holly
is in here.
is a rock star.
She throws her back out about once a year, and it's usually around March, April. And she was almost bedridden that day.
Oh no.
And she stayed an hour into the worship outside stirring a 20-gallon pot of broken jambalaya. But Levi was a beast, man. And Holly and I have something for him, and it's not jambalaya.
Not that stuff.
We do have something for him though.
That stuff
just
went
as
to
a
the
thank
long
you.
grass.
That he was a rock star, and man, that kid did it with a happy heart the whole way. No complaining, no moaning.
Good.
If I said cut this, he cut that. If I said take this chicken off the bone,
He took it off
he
the bone.
stood there for 45 pounds deboning chicken. Unbelievable. Really great young man. I'm pleased to know him.
Well, accepted and received,
He's
Josh.
cool.
There
Cool.
you go. Thanks, buddy. It was
Cool
good. You
guy.
guys are fantastic. But it was a good effort. We did our best, and we put it on, and the men showed up, and they poured their hearts out, and it was a really solid night. So to those who were involved, Dave, C, Big Dave, all the band, Ted the Shredder, Jeremy, all the guys, Ben, Scotty, you
The
guys are
sound
killer.
guys, everybody.
Yep, sound team, Chad, all the fellas. Thank you
Samir.
very much.
Yep.
And we'll do it again next year. But for now, that's going to pretty much run us out of quarters, Matthew Bravo.
Yeah.
And but this was the Men's Night of Worship recap. We did it for you all. So if you're not involved with one, you can maybe get involved with one. Email us at thechoicepodcastshow@gmail.com, and we'll give you the script. We'll give you the outline of how we did it and what we did and our lessons learned. I just did the after action and sent it off. Or you can find us on our Facebook page, The Choice Podcast. But
And don't forget, behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. Psalm 133:1.
And that's right. And remember this, that men of the world follow trends, but men of faith, like those who showed up on a Saturday night in March to worship their hearts out, follow truth, Josh.
Make your choice.